7 signs you're a deep thinker, but don't know it. Have you ever wondered why your mind never seems to rest? Why, even in silence, your thoughts feel like waves, rising, falling, colliding? You notice patterns no one else sees. You replay conversations long after they're over. You feel everything too deeply, too vividly, too intensely. But instead of calling it overthinking, maybe it's time to call it what it truly is: deep thinking. Not everyone carries that kind of mind, one that questions, analyzes, and searches for meaning in everything. And if you've ever felt different, too quiet, or too serious, you might actually be a deep thinker without realizing it. Today, we'll explore 7 subtle signs you're a deep thinker. The kind of person who sees the world not just as it is, but as it could be. 1. You notice what others miss. You walk into a room and your brain starts scanning the tone in someone's voice, the slight change in their expression, the tension between two people who said they're fine. You pick up the unspoken. You sense the unsaid. It's not paranoia, it's perception. Deep thinkers have an almost invisible radar for detail. While others move through life on the surface, you look beneath it, always searching for the why behind the what. You might find yourself asking questions like, why did they react that way? What's really bothering them? Is there more to this than it seems? Sometimes that awareness feels like a blessing. Other times it feels heavy, like you're carrying emotions that aren't yours. But your ability to notice what others miss isn't a flaw. It's empathy sharpened by awareness. You're tuned in, not because you want to be, but because your mind doesn't know how to ignore meaning. 2. You think before you speak. Always. In a world that rewards fast talkers and impulsive opinions, you pause. You take a breath before answering. You replay words in your mind to make sure they're right. You measure the impact before you release them. And sometimes people mistake that for shyness or indifference. They don't realize how much thought goes into every word you choose. Deep thinkers don't speak to fill silence. They speak to add value. You might find yourself holding back in group conversations, not because you have nothing to say, but because you're still processing what's already been said. To you, words are sacred. They carry weight, energy, and consequence. And even if others don't see it, that quiet intentionality is a form of wisdom, because the loudest voice in the room isn't always the smartest. Sometimes it's the one still thinking. 3. You spend more time in your head than in the world. There's a world that exists entirely in your mind, a world of imagination, what-ifs, and deep internal conversations. You can spend hours lost in thought, replaying memories, analyzing motives, creating stories that never happened. Sometimes you wonder, do other people think like this? Because your mind feels like an endless movie that never pauses. You might find peace in solitude, not because you dislike people, but because being alone is the only time your thoughts can breathe freely. Deep thinkers crave depth, not distraction. You don't seek noise, you seek understanding. That's why small talk feels draining. But deep, meaningful conversations light you up. You'd rather talk about existence, purpose, or emotion than what's trending this week. And yes, that makes you different. But it also makes you profound, because you don't just live life. You observe it, question it, feel it, and that's what makes your mind rare. For you feel things deeply, even when you don't show it. You might look calm on the outside, composed, steady, even stoic. But inside, your emotions run like deep rivers. A song, a sentence, a passing moment. They all touch you more than they should. You don't just experience feelings, you absorb them. This can be exhausting, because deep thinking often amplifies emotion. You don't just feel sadness, you analyze its cause, its shape, its echo. You don't just feel joy, you reflect on its fragility, its meaning, its impermanence. To others, it might seem like you're too sensitive, but that sensitivity is where your humanity lives. Feeling deeply doesn't make you weak, it makes you awake. It means the world hasn't numbed you, that even after everything, you still care. And in a society that moves too fast to feel anything deeply, your emotional awareness is a quiet kind of strength. 5. You question everything, including yourself. Most people accept things as they are. You don't. You ask why. Why people behave the way they do. Why society values what it values. Why you think and feel the way you do. Your curiosity doesn't stop at the surface. You dive into every topic, every idea, every inner corner of your mind. But here's the paradox. Deep thinkers are often their own biggest critics. Because when you think deeply, you also overthink yourself. You analyze your mistakes, your reactions, your past decisions. Sometimes until it hurts. But questioning yourself isn't self-doubt. It's self-awareness. It's the willingness to look inward and grow, even when the truth is uncomfortable. And while others might call it thinking too much, what you're really doing is learning who you are, piece by piece, thought by thought. 6. You struggle to feel understood. Deep thinkers often feel like they live in a world that doesn't fully get them. You express an idea and people say, "You think too much." You share a feeling and they say, "Just let it go." But you can't just let it go, because your brain won't stop exploring every angle. You might feel lonely even in a crowd, not because you're antisocial, but because connection, real connection, is rare for you. You long for people who speak your language, the language of depth, honesty, reflection, and empathy. But here's something most deep thinkers forget. Your depth isn't meant to be understood by everyone. It's meant to be appreciated by the few who can meet you there. And when you do find those people, those rare souls who think, feel, and question like you, it's like recognizing yourself in someone else for the first time. That's the kind of connection deep thinkers crave. Not wide, but deep. 7. You're both a dreamer and a realist. This is perhaps the rarest and most beautiful trait of a deep thinker, the ability to hold contradictions. You see the world as it is, messy, unpredictable, often painful. But you also see what it could be, beautiful, kind, and full of meaning. You're realistic enough to understand the darkness, but idealistic enough to still believe in light. That duality shapes how you move through life. You plan for the worst, but still hope for the best. You prepare for heartbreak, but still love deeply. You've seen disappointment, but you still dream. That balance between logic and emotion, between realism and imagination, is what makes you wise beyond your years. Because you don't choose one or the other. You live in the middle, where truth and hope coexist. Reflection. The quiet power of depth being a deep thinker isn't always easy. It means you feel more, see more, and question more than most people do. It can make you lonely. It can make you tired. It can even make you doubt yourself, wondering why your mind never takes a break. But here's the truth. Your depth is your gift. It's what allows you to see beauty in small things. A quiet sunrise, a stranger's kindness, the silence after a storm. It's what makes you thoughtful in a world that's reactive, empathetic in a world that's distracted, and authentic in a world that's performative. So no, you're not too deep. You're exactly as deep as the world needs you to be. Because the world doesn't change through shallow minds. It changes through those who dare to think, feel, and question deeply. So next time someone says, "You think too much," smile gently and say, "No, I just think differently." Deep thinkers don't live louder. They live truer. And that's what makes you rare. Not because your thoughts are better, but because you care enough to have them. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more amazing videos. Like this video, comment, and share. Join me in my next video.